Hey everybody, Jim and Eric here to talk about Star Wars The Force Awakens. Now, Vanity Fair published a bunch of Annie Leibovitz photos, including some character details, including Adam Driver is indeed the villain of the movie, Kylo Ren.
Yep.
We don't know how often he's actually not going to wear the mask in the movie.
Nah.
But we also got details about Gwendolyn Christie as Captain Phasma. She's looks good. We haven't seen her with
that kind of chrome stormtrooper outfit.
with the cape,
Yeah.
and yeah, she's pimping that outfit out. But we want to talk about sort of what these reveals tell us essentially about the First Order, which is the new bad guys, the new Empire.
Yeah.
Why are they the First Order? Why aren't they the Empire? And then, you know, the rebels are being referred to now as the Resistance.
Right, right.
So we have some theories based on history and based on what we've learned from these photos. Eric, you want to kind of kick it off with
Well, yeah,
some
you
of our
know,
thoughts?
again, because we, of course, there's going to be plenty more revealed about this movie. But right now, Kylo Ren is, you know, as far as we know, the main villain. We see him in the trailer leading stormtroopers into battle, and now we know that he's Adam Driver as a young guy, like he's not wearing any makeup.
He's not disfigured.
Yeah, yeah, and that raises a lot of questions about who would this young guy be that would be leading what seems to be the remnants of the Empire. And we were talking a lot about how we think that it might be this kind of idea of this sort of hero worship. These young people who weren't around even, were probably most of them not even alive during the reign of the Empire, but now look back on it fondly and want it to come back, misguided or not. You know?
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it's almost like neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
In a way, like they're worshiping the bad guys in the war.
And the imagery of it and all.
The imagery, everything, like embracing that look and wanting it to come back. And I think it does kind of speak to, you know, look, it's a lot in the news and obviously going on in the world with the rise of ISIS and young people just joining these horrible militant kind of groups. I think also the fact that we've seen, like, you know, Darth Vader's mask, like this is a guy ultimately like the biggest form of sort of fan.
Yeah,
you know, he's like Darth Vader's biggest fan. Like, I'm going to collect all your stuff. I want to be like you.
Yeah, he wants to be him, and he, you know, again, he's wearing a costume. We know the full costume has that mask.
Yeah.
That is going to evoke Vader, evoke the Sith. We don't know. We know he has the Force because you kind of see him in the trailer reaching his hand out, but we don't know if anyone trained him or if he's really a Sith. He has a red lightsaber and he has the Force.
But it's got that do-it-yourself kind of look to it too. So this is, I mean, if this was a guy who's like, I want to bring back the Empire, I'll do it myself. I mean, he does have that sort of, every little bit is a nod to something that came before.
Yeah, yeah. And then you can extrapolate from there, again, going down our theory road, that could completely be wrong, but the idea that, he'd get sort of like-minded people, that those stormtroopers, the fact that John Boyega is a young guy, as Finn, who's one of these soldiers, and it seems to be, you know, something happens to Finn early on that I'm thinking he gets like, he sees something terrible happen. He joined as a sort of naive guy. He got kind of caught up in this fervor, and then maybe he sees them do something, and he's like I can't be a part of this.
It's like the idea of the good German you
right,
have in the movies. You know, it's also interesting though that the rebellion now are called the Resistance,
right? And
the Empire is the First Order, which obviously, you know, the fact that it's called First Order kind of evokes Third Reich.
Sure.
But what would have happened that make basically rebranding both sides? We have a theory that possibly, and a reader had emailed Keeping It Real podcast about this, and I think it's beginning to pan out a bit, which is maybe there was some sort of armistice, some sort of union had to be formed between the Empire and the Rebellion after the events of Jedi, so that life could go on. And now a generation or so has passed, and people are misguidedly kind of fond for this darker time.
If you're in a part of the galaxy where things aren't going so well, and you feel like, you know, there's not a lot of money.
And we've seen that on planets like Jakku, where like if scrap heaping is how you make your business, guess what? You know, bad times lead young, disillusioned people into, you know, dangerous quarters.
The people could be nostalgic for something they weren't even there for, because if your life is crap, you're like, well, maybe it was better under the Empire.
At least everything was polished.
Right.
Yeah.
And then again, Captain Phasma, who we know nothing about, they pointedly did not show her without the helmet, so we're wondering, is she disfigured? Is she an alien? but again, could be someone who's sort of this militant, based on the armor and based on the fact that Gwendolyn Christie's playing the character, we're guessing she's probably badass.
Yeah.
That is probably this very sort of harsh, toe the line.
And I don't
type.
think it's any, if she does look like herself,
Yeah.
that's pretty Aryan looking given her look on Game of Thrones. Very blonde, very blue-eyed. I mean, it's pretty on the nose, but I do think that it is being used as sort of, like the old movies. I mean, they dress like Nazis.
They totally did, yeah.
But this is very much, I feel like, a much more on-the-nose sort of metaphor.
I think just also getting into the idea of who would these people be that'd be so rooting for it, because even the trailer has that scene where all the stormtroopers turn around, there's the flag
and
behind
there's
them.
the red banners.
Hugely Nazi sort of imagery.
Yeah.
Again, not new to Star Wars. It was there from the very beginning with the Empire. But I think this time, just by the Finn character and the fact that Captain Phasma and who this young guy is leading them, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of why would you go along with this?
Yeah.
Like, what is your mindset?
It's a fascinating kind of way to explore horrible stuff going on in our world, and yet still couch it in an escapist thing. So overall, your thoughts on just sort of the look of Adam Driver's character?
I think I'm excited by it. First of all, I think Adam Driver's a great actor. It's like, I know right now people are doing that thing where the one thing they know him from the most, they feel like he's going to sort of bring that from, like, because his character in Girls is such a sort of weird, goofy guy that he'll bring that. I think he's just a good actor playing a goofy guy. And the fact that, I saw some people say like, oh, I wanted him to be disfigured under the mask. I think it's important he's not, that he'd like people maybe to believe. Again, we're saying we don't know how much he's unmasked in front of his people in the movie, but even if all the people following him know that's what he's looked like, if he's attacking people, he wants them to think of Vader, and so he puts on that mask,
Yeah,
but he
misses the I wonder if finding the burned out mask in the rubble like makes him think, I could use it.
Right, but I like the idea that he is maybe this like just kind of fanatical kid underneath it all, who's powerful, who has the Force.
It's a weird commentary on fandom, though, in a
Maybe,
way. I mean, look, you're wearing your
I don't know what it means
stuff.
to be a fan. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, we want to know what your theories are and what you think about Kylo Ren and the look and all the new the photos that have come out. So for all things Star Wars, keep it here on IGN.